Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
One time when we were just dating, I just started dating Tim, or maybe I hadn't even started dating Tim, but some friends in our hometown high school, this was high school, and they said, hey, we're going to go to the old state hospital. When the new current hospital was built, they just shut down an old state-run hospital, and they left it it's like the workers just walked out. There were still pencils and papers and surgical equipment and desks and everything's still in there. So teenagers love to break in and go look. And we had talked about it, but I'd never been in it. I had friends who had gone in, but I had never done that. So I told these boys in my class about it, and they were like, yes, we're going to go.
Yeah.
So they picked a date, and we're like, hey, do you want to go? And it was Tim had just asked me to go to a t-ball game for his nephews or something. Yeah. So I bailed on the guys. After making the plans for them, I did not follow through, so they went. And when they got home, they text, call me. So whenever they did get home, I called him. I'm like, what did I miss out on? And he described kind of going in. They had one guy driving the car in case the law showed up and they could run out really fast. And the other two guys walking around. One's grabbing all the souvenirs he could carry. Pencils, mugs, leftover surgical equipment, everything. He looks like the guy on Dumb and Dumber with his arms loaded up leaving the gas station, right? Well, the other friend was more careful. He wanted something meaningful and something kind of interesting, so he's deliberating, and he said it was the whole hallway was just offices, and he's going in and out, and there's desks, and there's books everywhere. And they get the signal from outside that they need to leave. So he just grabs a book, runs out to the car, and leaves. And whenever he got home, they were kind of going through their stuff, and they're looking at what they got. And he picked up the book, and $6 $50 bills fell out of it.
No.
Yeah, and this is, what year would this have been? 2000?
Okay.
So that's big money, for then. It's big money for now.
Yeah. 300.
Was that there from the time the doctor left? Was that his lunch money stash that he had in a book? Was this some meth head's secret savings?
Right.
Because the hospital has since burned down because there was so much drug use happening there in the evenings and everything else. But I hate that I missed that trip.
Right.
The profitable trip.
Yeah, right. Yeah, go for the memories, come back with the money, baby. That's what I'm about.
For sure. There's no particular special thing that happened, but if you ever get the itch to go explore, if Alita ever gets the itch to go explore, there's an abandoned chalk mine in North Mississippi, and it's on the edge of a lake, and it's just
Wait, does chalk come? Do you have to mine for chalk?
Yes. And I didn't know much
Weird.
about the industry or about the mines or whatever, but
Wow.
it's basically just a network of caves now. So you kind of go in through a small mining entrance in the side of a hill that's just off the edge of a lake. It was not the easiest hike. There was no Wi-Fi for our directions. I may have already told you about that. That was the one time I thought Tim was absolutely going to just leave me there. But we did make it into the chalk mine, and that was kind of cool. There were some, like, holes in the floor, so you would need some light if you're going through it, but a lot of spray-painted graffiti walls, and it makes for a good setting. If y'all feel like...
Yeah, I don't know. The long hike coupled with no Wi-Fi could get lost. Again, needs to be duly noted that I have no sense of direction or geographic whatever. So, like, yeah, I have to be very careful about my exploratory expeditions into the woods. Yeah. But if you have a real GPS that is connected to the satellites that are in synchronous orbit, flying around in space, you can theoretically go anywhere. And I don't have one of those anymore. We're all like kind of reliant on our phones. But that'd be the way to do it, I guess, is to go. But like, what's that brand? The Garmin or something. Like, we get like an old school, like satellite based
that still functions.
Yeah.
Where you are now would probably have so many more places to explore because the history of the area is so much. I didn't know this, like Marietta is actually older, I think, than Atlanta and Chattanooga. It's one of the older.
Really?
I may have misread that.
Okay.
Again, it's one of those things that we should probably look into, but I thought I saw it while we were looking up some Civil War things that this settlement might, but in any case, you've got a lot of history.
We do
in the area in general. Like, you could be doing so much exploring here.
Yeah, I know. Well, supposedly our property has like some pretty interesting history. Like the people that lived here, that built the house and the other outbuildings, used to find mini balls from the Civil War here, and they told us that like our property has got these tiers that are cut in, and like different, like there'll be, the land will go flat and then it'll have this, sharp down turn, and then it'll be flat again and another downturn.
Like terraced.
Yeah, terraced almost. Yeah, like earthen embankments look like they were built, and basically when you see that, especially like for Civil War, they would dig these embankments so they could lay behind or stand behind them and be able to, shoot out. So anyway, supposedly that's why our land, when you go into the forest and whatever, like, because the Union Army marched in mass right through here, and I think maybe camped out nearby. We don't know. Like, there's not an official battle that happened like right here that we know of, but then there were so many like running skirmish battle things.
Right.
Yeah, you don't know. And even if they just like camped out around here and were preparing for such things, that could have explained why there's so many of those type of things right in and around our property, in and around this area. So, yeah. And then we've got this neighbor who seems legit. He's a little schizophrenic potentially, and he's an interesting cat, but he used to come exploring on the property in the 70s when he was just a wee lad, and he said there was a bunch of structures actually on this property, like kind of gazebo, open air things, and he said that the Shields Lake, which is the lake right here, was actually early on in like the 30s and 40s, it became a vacation spot exclusively, for Black folk, and the street over there, Old Tennessee Road, all that entire street, he said, was all black. Like, there was no white folks living down there at all, and so like it was like a little kind of getaway, a little mecca for them to like probably find some peace and quiet, because in the 30s and 40s. It was still before the civil rights movement, so they kind of needed their own place and space. And there is a lot of history littered just in this very area, but we're not as explory as you are. Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.